Hey guys.
So today we wanted to touch base with you. We know that in our videos we're about to leave Mexico. You don't realize that yet because we just saw Palenque, but we're just about to leave Mexico and head to Guatemala. But in real time, in real life, we've already gone to Panama City. We've seen the Panama Canal, and now we're close to Panama City, but we're on our way back up north. So we did it. We accomplished what we didn't realize was our goal when we set out to Mexico to begin with. But after meeting a few people and talking to them about their experiences, we were inspired by them and decided it was a really good idea to come down. So today we want to talk a little bit about what surprised us about driving in Central America and the whole Central America experience. And also we have one question from someone that we'd like to address. So what was the question?
Question was if it was safe and if we recommend doing this trip. Honestly, safe. It was safe. We never felt in danger at any time. I mean, there was maybe one instance that we felt a little scared, not too comfortable.
Yeah.
But as soon as the morning came, we left. So we were in
El Cuco, El Salvador.
Yeah.
I like to call it El Cucu. So if you're from El Salvador, just please don't take any offense to that. It was a kind of a scary little town.
And we've learned a lot, so it wasn't really negative, but we did learn a lot. So we ended up going to this campground, and we paid right away for 3 days. It wasn't expensive; it was $5 per day.
Yeah.
And anyway, we paid for 3 days, and we go roam around, look for food, check out the town. And we didn't feel safe. Like people were pointing at us, laughing at us. We saw people, passed out, like drug overdose kind of thing in the middle of the street, and we got a little bit scared. We were like, whoa, this is not really a good vibe. And even looking for food, people were looking at us kind of like, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah, like we were kind of lost, like you're not in Kansas anymore kind of thing. So they were very overtly kind of like looking at us and laughing, kind of like, yeah, you guys don't belong here. And it was so scary seeing those people passed out. It looked like they were junkies, to be honest. And we just wanted to get out of that town. We had, the hair on our arms were standing up. But the entire time we've been south of the United States, that happened to us once.
Yeah.
And we've traveled a lot. Now, it can be dangerous being down here. I can give you a perfect example of how it can get really dangerous really fast, and that's if you drive at night. So that's for various reasons. You could be targeted, number one. There's huge potholes sometimes in the middle of the road, or speed bumps.
They remove the
manhole covers.
Yeah, because it's worth money. So they actually remove, and you're driving, and you'll see there's no cover. So you really have to be careful with that. So again, don't drive at night. And also, what I've realized is, you build that trust, that security as you drive from North America down.
Yeah.
If somebody would have told me, okay, you're gonna start your trip in El Salvador, you're missing a lot of experience prior to that.
Yes, for sure.
So as you cross borders, as you cross countries, you get that momentum, you get that, hey, it's not that bad, even for border crossing. We've done so many. I think we've done 8 border crossings, 8 different countries. So every country that you enter, you have to exit and then enter. So it would normally take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. Compared to Canada, US, you don't even get out of your car. You're 10, 15 minutes, you're out. So you start getting that experience as you go, as you progress down, and then it just becomes a waiting game. And for safety, if you stick to touristy spots, you're never gonna have a problem. Read a lot on the reviews before you go to a spot. Like this morning, we wanted to go check out Panama Viejo.
Casco Viejo, it's in Old Town Panama.
Yeah, and we read 2 months ago, there was a bunch of robberies in broad daylight. So we're like, oh, okay, you know what? We saw the canal. Let's not push our luck. I really don't regret not doing it, and we're already trekking back to Canada now. So safety, yeah. Honestly, it's again, something could happen in the United States or in Canada. But yeah, for us, felt safe all the time. The roads are okay. The roads are beautiful.
So if you want to come down here, I would caution you against driving at night for several reasons. So there are hazards on the road such as potholes, speed bumps, animals. So not just dogs, but cattle. There are people that cross the highway in the middle of the night, and it's not obvious because it's not very well lit. So you don't actually see them crossing until the last minute. And the speed bumps, they're not announced in advance. There's no signage for a lot of the speed bumps, so sometimes you come to them and you just go flying. So that's another reason why it could be dangerous. So we don't recommend driving at night. And also, we've done quite a bit of research in advance of doing this trip. So before we get to a country, we do research on the border crossing, and we're doing research on what's fun to do, what's safe, what's not safe. And there are so many resources for overlanders to come down here and stay safe. So we definitely think that if you want to come down, it can be safe. Just do a lot of research and make use of your resources. So what are some of the resources that you would recommend? Number one?
I mean, the Facebook groups. There's a nice one, which is Panama.
Yeah, the Pan American Travelers Association. I would say my number one tool is iOverlander.
Yeah, iOverlander. Even for border crossing, they put everything in there. So even if you're not sure, again, on the groups, the Pan America group, I mean, you could ask your question or just use the search, and there's tons of information in there. And if you don't find your answer, ask,
Yeah.
But also, would I recommend this trip to someone? Absolutely.
Yeah. It was awesome.
It was such a great experience, and not only it was fun, it was nice to see. Every day is different. You never know what's going to happen. Every day is an adventure. Even this morning was an adventure. Tomorrow I have no idea what's going to happen, where we're going to sleep. So I kind of like that, and what I keep saying, and I'll say it again, I'm not the same person that I was when I left Canada. And it's just because you gain so much experience and trust in yourself, and
trust in other people too.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember.
And you will meet a lot of people.
I remember so many years ago being afraid to drive into Mexico, and just a few years later, I was driving not only in Mexico, but now I'm driving in Central America, and I never thought that I would be doing that. So it's you're gonna surprise yourself how quickly you can adapt to it, but also just what will surprise you is the kindness of people. So you read about these isolated incidents that are negative, or murders or holdups, and they're really not the norm. So we want you to know that in general, wherever you go, wherever you travel, people are generally good, and they want to help. They want to be helpful, and we've experienced that. So many helpful people along the way.
Yesterday we were going to Boondock by the canal, and this priest, was it priest? Came to see us and say, hey guys, if you want, I have bathrooms and showers, and you could just use it. And I mean, you attract people anyway, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend. Don't be scared. Even if you encounter hard moments, you will work through it, and it's only going to build that momentum for later on,
Yeah, I think our most difficult moment was when we were stopped by the police in Mexico City, and had that not happened, we wouldn't have had that beautiful experience that we had with Rafa and his family.
Yeah,
where they brought us to Malinalco. So don't ever judge a situation. You don't know what that situation will lead to, and that situation for us led to one of the most beautiful moments on this trip, and that was exploring Malinalco with his family. So we have a question. Hi, Gina. So What is the best city to move it to? Is it easier for Americans or veterans to relocate there to Panama? Is it easy? I believe that there are programs in place. We're not 100% sure, but we did find a town in Panama, beautiful town for expats,
Oh, yeah.
called Boquete, Boquete. The climate is to die for. So it's 27 degrees during the day, 17 degrees in the evenings.
Getting goosebumps.
It's beautiful.
It was nice.
In the highlands, and it's like a geisha coffee hub. It's like they're known for this very special coffee tree.
Yeah,
It's like- it's
very
like-
expensive. Apparently, when they sell that, it goes up to $170 per
Per
pound,
pound.
right?
Yeah.
So we got to taste it for like $10. But I love that town so much because everywhere you go, somebody's talking English. There was a lot of expats there.
Yeah.
The climate, like Mena was saying,
Amazing.
was just beautiful.
The
you know.
countryside, I mean, no matter what you want to do there in terms of outdoor activities, you could do it. So there's hiking, there's biking, there's
Water rafting.
whitewater rafting. There's so much to do there.
There's waterfalls. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, we can't really speak to the cost of living there because we haven't done any research on it, but for us, in terms of considering a place for retiring, it would be Boquete, Panama, for sure. That would be like in our top 5.
Oh yeah, it was really nice. And if you love coffee, it's the place to go. I've been having a hard time finding the whole bean, like in grano. They say it. I've learned that word. Coffee in grano, and over there is everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It's like every little store has their own coffee and grano. It's all gourmet coffee, so it was nice. Got spoiled.
On the flip side, though, we haven't really explored the beach areas much just because the beaches are so hot. We're talking 34, 35 degrees. So we've tended to stay near the highlands, and that's mainly because of the temperature. So we can't really, I mean, we would go to the beach areas or the hot areas if there was something spectacular to see. Like when we went in Costa Rica, it was Osa Peninsula. It was so hot. But then we saw toucans and we saw macaws and iguanas and all this beautiful wildlife. So other than that, we've tried to stick to the cooler areas.
Yeah. Well, we're not living there. We're actually just traveling from North
just traveling
America
through.
all the way to Panama. That was our goal. We did our goal.
Yeah.
And now we're slowly going back up, you know. We do prefer the temperature higher up in the mountain just because we also don't have air conditioning in our van.
And there's the dog to think about too.
Yeah, so maybe 1-2 days in that heat is enough. I mean, sometimes it could get up to 36 degrees. I'm not sure what's that in Fahrenheit.
And then in the van, it's even hotter.
Yeah, so it's really,
even
really
with the
hot.
fans. So so let's talk about what surprised us in Central America. So I'll start with my number 1 is how good the highways are past Guatemala. So Mexico has some nice highways in some areas, but in some areas the highways and the roads are pretty poor. Guatemala, it's hit and miss. You know, if you stay on the Interamericana, on the Pan American Highway, highway number 1, then it can be pretty good. But then again, they do have big potholes in some areas of that highway. But then when you get to El Salvador, the highways are really nice.
Yeah.
And then Honduras, and the highways are really nice. And then Nicaragua, they're nice. And then Costa Rica, they're nice. And then Panama, and that was a huge surprise to me. I just figured that they would all be quite poor. But when you stay near or on the Pan American Highway, the quality of the roads are quite good, again, beyond Guatemala.
Yeah, the highways was really nice, very well marked, so it was easy to follow with the GPS.
Yeah.
I have to say, past Mexico, besides Nicaragua, knock on wood, we didn't get stopped at all by the police.
No.
Whatsoever.
No, there were some roadblocks in Nicaragua a couple times, but they
That
just
was-
asked us a few questions. It was pretty routine.
Yeah, pretty routine, nothing like in Mexico kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
a couple military checks, but they just ask you, where you're going. They just want to see your papers, and then they let you go.
and we were taking the how do you call that highway? The main one, the Trans.
Pan American?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Pan America. So We didn't pay that many toll roads, right?
No, not really.
No.
Maybe one in Guatemala, and the rest of the toll roads really are in Mexico.
Yeah, so I'm really, really surprised by the
Yeah.
quality of the highway. Very
Yeah.
well lit, very well marked,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Good. So, what else? So, something that we didn't know that we learned is that El Salvador accepts US dollars, and so does Panama. So, if you're traveling here, that could be pretty advantageous for you. You just use your credit card or your debit card like you would back home. We thought that was interesting. And the other thing about El Salvador that's quite interesting is that Bitcoin is legal tender. And that's good for the country of El Salvador because it's just great for the economy. So they started to notice things opening back up in tourism once they made that legal tender. And then also once, I believe there was one country that was a holdout for COVID, they had the borders closed, and then I think it was Costa Rica. Then once Costa Rica opened the borders to travelers again after the pandemic started, then they started to see a lot more tourism. So that's helped their economy quite a bit.
Yeah, the Bitcoin is really interesting. You would think only big establishments would be accepting Bitcoin, but no, even the guy selling Coco Frios is there, scan my phone. So that's really, really interesting, and it's good. It's good for the country as well.
Yeah.
I would think, And one of the reasons why everybody's getting into that, from what I've heard, is the government created a wallet, and everybody that downloads the wallet, they give them like something $30 to every citizen, every person that lives in El Salvador. So you prompt everybody to use that. So it's something that you'll see everywhere. So it's kind of neat.
Yeah, so if you have Bitcoin, there you go.
Yeah.
Or if you want to, I don't know, if you want to fly in and just use your US dollars in Panama and El Salvador, you're going to be fine to do that.
I'm drinking
a Panama beer.
Panama beer.
Yeah. So where was the strongest beer that
I
we
don't
found?
know.
It was Costa Rica, 6%. He likes his strong beers. So, so another thing that surprised us about traveling in Central America is actually how quick it took to get from Mexico to Panama City. Because, I don't know, we haven't looked at a map recently, I guess, but we just assumed it would take so long. But when you compare, Central America to the United States, it's really, really tiny. You're not traveling that much. So we actually didn't spend that much money on fuel, from Guatemala to Panama City because there's not much land. The highway runs right through the country, and yeah, for sure we go up and down a bunch of stuff, but
It was fast, yeah.
it was so fast, and now it's going to be easy. Now it's going to be faster because we're making our way back up.
And we also have the experience already of border crossing. I could say the worst border, like the most complicated one, not complicated, but we got into an issue, was Nicaragua to Costa Rica,
Yeah.
where we got stuck in between both borders, and that was mostly because of the dog. We needed some special paperwork that we didn't know, we weren't sure if we needed or not, but by then we had checked out from Costa Rica, and we had checked out from Nicaragua and checked into Costa Rica, and then Costa Rica said, well, I'll let you go, but your dog's not allowed, so if you get stopped, well, you might get into problems where they might take your dog away. So we're like, all right, we go back. And yeah, so then we got stuck in between borders, and it took us a total of
6-hour border day.
yeah, just to get out and
Yeah.
to get back into Nicaragua.
It was a mess.
Well, we learned, we knew what we needed. We stayed maybe an extra 10, 15 days.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, we got all the paperwork that we needed, and then we crossed,
Yeah. So we want to say hi to Eat, Sleep, RV Repeat.
Hey guys, nice to
Lou
see
and
you.
Ange, nice to see you guys.
Thank you for popping in.
Yeah, thanks for saying hello. All right, so what else surprised us? Well, fruit trees here are everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
They're everywhere. So what's cool about that is that there are fruit stands everywhere along the highway, and unlike in Canada, where the fruit markets, the farmers markets, are actually more expensive than the grocery store. If you buy fruit from the fruit stand on the side of the highway, it's like so cheap because the fruit trees here are just plentiful.
Like
they're
mangoes.
everywhere. Mangoes,
They're
avocados,
everywhere. Like
papayas,
sometimes
pineapples, bananas.
we're gonna be rolling down the streets and we're squashing. Like,
Fruit as we
yeah, it's on the floor everywhere, mango. So it was really interesting to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. What else? So, you probably already know this or have an idea, but labor costs in Central America are very low. So, depending on where you go, Panama, we did some work on our vehicle in Panama and it was very low or comparable to the United States. And in Nicaragua, we had our van washed, which would probably cost us like $50 or $60, back home in Canada or the United States. And someone offered to do it for $1.50.
Yeah.
So we refused. We gave them $10 for that, but just, if you need any work done, if you want any kind of manual labor, there's a lot of specialized laborers that will do work on your vehicle for a lot less than what they would do in Canada or the US. Same thing in Mexico.
Yeah, labor was, sometimes you even feel bad giving that, It's like, wow, for $1.50, we're looking at each other. Because he used, what was the currency back there?
It's Nicaragua Cordobas, I think.
Yeah, so sometimes it's hard with the currency. So we really had to go and calculate just to make sure it was right. And we're like, wow, we ended up giving him $10. But yeah, it's interesting to see the cost of living in different countries,
Yeah.
And another thing before I forget is, in some countries, boondocking is amazing.
Oh yeah. Some of the places that we've stayed, so we just left Panama City, and in Panama City, it was very noisy, mind you, but we stayed along the causeway, so it's like this beautiful stretch of land that kind of juts out into the ocean, and you could see the canal ships passing on one side, and on the other side you see the sailboats and the skyline of the city. It was just absolutely breathtaking, and it was $0. $0 to park, $0 to pay there to stay there overnight. The bathrooms were open, you could use the bathrooms, and it's just, this is unheard of in North America. You can't stay in places like that there.
Like right now, Lenjen was asking where we're at. We're in Panama, and we needed to do laundry really bad. So we stopped at this gas station, and they have laundry facilities where what, like $2.50 a load?
$2.50 a load, which is, if you go into the touristy centers and you have laundry service done for you, they're going to charge you like $7 a load. But here, because they're catering to the truckers, it's $2.50 a load. Free showers, good Wi-Fi. Free Wi-Fi. They have this nice outdoor seating area for the truckers, so we can chill here with Fee. And they have meals inside, and if we want to, we could stay here overnight. So this was a convenience stop for us. We have laundry to do before we make the trek back up north. But
But even in Costa Rica too, right? Most gas stations, they allow you to sleep and they give you free showers. Where, I compare it to back home, we're looking at $15 to take a shower. So between me and her, it's like $30.
Might as well stay at a campground.
So it's kind of nice that, and you're more than welcome to stay there. So it's kind of, we enjoy.
Yeah.
Eat, Sleep, Work Vida said that we want to know about restaurants. We know you are plant-based, how easy or hard was to order food?
Well, let me tell you. We've been spoiled in Nicaragua, in Costa Rica, and in Panama because they have this gallo pinto, which means spotted rooster, I believe. I think the translation is spotted rooster. So what that is rice with beans. So in some countries the beans are red beans, in other countries the beans are black beans, and then they put a side salad with it, and usually they serve it with meat, but we have it without meat, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's been really easy to find great food.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they accommodate. As soon as we say, hey, we're vegan, we plant-based, so they always make some special menus. And what I love the most, I don't know, it's maybe because they're earning for business or not, but Fiona's always welcome. Like
Yeah.
she doesn't need to stay inside the van. Right? She's always
Every
there.
restaurant,
And they
she-
bring her water. Like
Yeah.
they get this big bowl full of water for her, so we could relax and enjoy the
Oh
restaurant.
yeah, down here it's super dog friendly. All of these countries. So this is the one exception. There's a gas station and they have a restaurant inside, but it's more of like a chain service center. So she's not allowed inside, but this is the exception and not the rule. She's welcome pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
And we've been able to eat. I think the most difficult spot was Guatemala to find restaurants that would be able to serve us something. But El Salvador, we had pupusas, which is kind of
Yeah.
like this pancake kind of tortilla, and they stuff it. Normally they stuff it with meat and cheese and vegetables, but for us they removed the meat and the cheese, and they're 50 cents each, and you eat two people for $2.50. It's insane.
We're having that twice a day. Right? This is short-lived, so it's maximized.
Exactly. And then in Mexico, as you guys all know, the food in Mexico is outstanding, so no problems there. The Mexican crossing?
Yeah,
You want
yeah.
to read that question? Okay, so going back to the Mexican crossing, it was scary with the police. Were there any more issues with that? I don't think you should think that makes Mexico a deal breaker. I know that a lot of people actually negotiate with the police officers. We spoke to a lot of people after that happened, and they said, "Oh yeah, all I have is 100 pesos, which is the equivalent of $5, and that would be enough for the police to just leave them alone." So that wasn't the approach that we took at that time. We don't know what we would do if it happened to us again in the future, but let's not discount what's going to get you out of the situation. Whatever decision you make in a situation is going to be the right decision as long as you get out of it and you're fine. Keep in mind that
I also,
Mexico is an amazing place to visit.
yeah.
Do not let the risks scare you, because you're going to be missing out on a lot of beautiful, amazing experiences.
Mexico is one of our top countries, and I think negative points about it. It's really best to look through the groups. There's On the Road to Mexico, there's the Baja Talks, but On the Road to Mexico is a really good one.
Yeah.
And just Google the border crossing you want to do first to see what kind of feedback you're getting. We
Yeah.
initially wanted to cross in Nuevo Laredo.
Yeah, Nuevo Laredo, but there's a lot of cartel activity there.
Yeah,
So
and from what we read, it was some sort of plotting between immigration and
the cartels.
the cartels. So they would say, okay, those guys, they just passed, they're alone, looks like they have money or whatever, and then down the road you'd get stopped, and anyway, there's a bunch of stuff. So because of that, and it was very recent, we decided to cross an equal pass. So
Yeah.
that was fine. And the Mexico trouble we got into there, I mean, we were driving really too close to Mexico City.
Yeah.
And it's something we didn't want to do in the first place, but we were traveling in a caravan. So the majority decided to take that route, and then we ended up taking a wrong exit. And then it creates problems, right? So until today, I'm not even sure if we were allowed or not allowed. Maybe we were not, but everybody was given different reasons not to be there. And for them to let us go, they wanted money.
Yeah, but I would just say just avoid Mexico City, because Mexico City itself is really well known for that, for
Yeah.
police stops, illegitimate police stops. So we knew that, and we didn't want to go into that area. Things a mess happened, and then whatever. We dealt with it the best that we knew how. And I don't think that should make you discount Mexico, because it's such an incredible country.
Yeah, I mean, we missed a lot of parts of Mexico, so on the way back, we're probably going to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious for that. And the easiest border was Panama. Oh my God, it's from Costa Rica to Panama. We took a border that there's nobody. I mean, we're the only ones there, and literally one side of the street is Costa Rica and the other side is Panama.
Yeah.
And it was a breeze. It was really easy. They were helpful. Actually, they couldn't print something because they had no electricity. and I offered to lend my van so she could plug the printer. But anyway, she ended up writing by hand. So that border was really, really good, really easy. But 5 minutes down the road, we get stopped by military, and we had the sniffer dog inside. So that was a little bit
unsettling, but
Yeah.
it was routine.
It was routine, and I think they don't get much traffic, so they're like, okay, perfect, we got somebody, let's
Yeah.
work. So they
Let's
they
test
went
the
through
dog.
everything, I mean, and
Yeah.
again, I wasn't worried because we're not hiding anything.
Yeah.
And the other fact that removed my worry away is because there was two different parties there.
Yeah.
Parties like, they had the aduana, they had a person from aduana and the military.
Yeah.
So now if it was just military, maybe I would have been scared because maybe they're plotting something or they're working as a team to do something, who knows. But when there's two different identities on rotation, it makes it a little bit more safe. So
Yeah.
it took us like 20 minutes extra to get out of that.
But it was fun.
It was fun, and I got it on my camera.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to upload that video.
Yeah. All right, next question. American kidnappings and murders in Baja. I couldn't, to be honest, I don't know about any kidnappings and murders in Baja. When we were there, we know that someone was robbed at gunpoint, but where they were robbed, they were at a free boondocking spot,
Yeah.
and it was very remote, no cell coverage, no Wi-Fi. So for us, we tend to prefer to stay in campgrounds. Sometimes we'll do dry camping if we feel safe and secure in an area.
And we have network. I mean, sometimes, yeah, there's beautiful spots, like whatever, but you have zero network, and it's on eye over lander. That's how they find those spots. So,
Yeah, that's
I mean,
isolated.
it's a free app.
And if you're alone, that doesn't help either.
No.
You know what I mean? It makes you more of a target. So you got to use your judgment, use your instincts, and if you feel safe somewhere, then great, stay there. If you don't feel safe in that area, leave or find a campground that is secure, that has security. Because most of the campgrounds that we've stayed in, all of the campgrounds we've stayed at, actually, we've never had a problem. No problem with robberies, no problem with feeling unsafe. There's security there, or there's cameras, so...
Even the boondocking that we stay, it's like gas station or near a police station,
Yeah.
or, and we make sure to go ask before. I know it's a lot because I read on the reviews, but I ask because I want them to know I'm there.
Yeah, true enough.
It's like, hey, I'm here. I say, hey, is it okay? Is it safe? They're like, yeah, it's safe. We're here all night. Perfect. So at least he knows
Yeah.
we're there.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Okay, so that's it. So let's go back to what has surprised us. So, yeah, cost of labor, great down here. Okay, so we were actually pretty surprised, and we were worried that we wouldn't be able to get much work done here. Now, I realize that we're a little bit slow in getting some videos up, but that's mainly because we're in travel mode.
All the time.
But we're doing our best to get up one video per week. So what did surprise us, all that being said, is that there's actually mostly good cell coverage everywhere we are. And he has his phone that is roaming down here. It's like $16 a day for a certain number of days. And what I do is I buy a SIM card in every country, and the most it'll cost me is $15, and then that's good for 2 weeks to a month. So, and then I have 4 to 8 gigs. Actually, in Panama was the best. 2 weeks for $10, and it gives me unlimited data. So,
the entire highway, like even when we were in Mexico, it was a scare, a dot. We're like, should we do it? What about if we don't have coverage? We're like, yeah, let's just try it. And there's cell towers everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Pretty much. I mean, there were a couple spots in Costa Rica that we had to leave because there was no cell network. But the majority, I would say 80% of the places, where we wanted to stay, there was good cell coverage. So we always knew that, we could keep in touch with family, and that's, a good reason also. Another reason why we need to have a cell network is because we have our condo rented, and if the guest needs to get in touch with us for an emergency, we need to be reachable. So it would be lovely to be completely off grid, but we're not at that point yet.
Yeah, and safety, talking about safety, so our friends and family know where we are. We have this GPS tracking device.
It's called Tracky.
Yeah, and I think it's like $10-15 a month we pay.
Yeah, we paid I think 40, maybe 30 or $40 for the actual device, and it's about $15 a month. And yes, you give a link to your family and friends. It's good for 7 days, and then they could see exactly where you are on the map. So
Yes.
it uses either satellites, or if the device can't catch satellite, it will catch the cell network to kind of triangulate where you are.
Yeah, so as soon as you're on the move, they get a beep notification, hey, they're going.
Yeah.
So again, it's for safety, you know. Sometimes you don't catch cell phone reception, or your family doesn't know where you are. They go on, they will pinpoint exactly where we are.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. All right, we got a question. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Traveling down here with the dog has taken more time.
Yeah.
And the reason why it takes more time is because of border crossings. So the easiest one, of course, Canada, US, and then US to Mexico. And then you have to add on time. Every other border, you add time just for the dog, and it gets more complicated. Like, they require more things. So Guatemala, we needed a health certificate, vaccination certificate. You pay a little bit of money for some kind of a permit or certificate to be able to travel through the country with your dog. And as we were doing the paperwork for the dog, you see this stray dog just randomly cross the border, and then on the other side, a herd of goats just traveled through the border. Like, it was like, okay, it's kind of a joke, you know what I mean? But they have to do it, it's their job, so whatever, we just go through it. But it probably adds about 45 minutes to an hour to each border crossing.
And also sometimes you have to go to a vet to get a special paper.
Yeah.
Right. So from Nicaragua, Costa Rica to Panama, we needed a export
Certificate,
yeah, health export certificate, and you could only get that in Liberia.
It was
I forget the name.
San Isidro with this one vet. She speaks English. Anyway,
Yeah.
on Overlander, they have almost all the details. We got tripped up a little bit because we got confused with the instructions from Nicaragua to Costa Rica, and that's why we were stuck at the border for 6 hours. But most of the times, Overlander, and also there's a website that if you're doing Central America, this should be your Bible. It's called Wiki Overland. You go to Wiki Overland, and that's for overland travelers. And then you click on the country, and then it'll give you step by step what you need and the process. And the process for getting into Costa Rica on Wiki Overland has not been updated, and it was confusing on iOverlander. And again, that's what kind of delayed us and tripped us up going from Nicaragua to Costa Rica.
So yeah, border crossing, you just have to check with every single country what's their exit policy and their entry policy, because it varies, it changes.
Yeah.
To get inside Panama, there's two ways. There's one way that you have to pay $137 to get in with your dog. It's a vet fee, I'm not even sure, but
Yeah.
if you go on the weekends or after 7 o'clock, they're not there, so you don't pay.
Exactly.
You just pay a $27 fee
For the certificate.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
good to go.
Yeah.
We ended up finding, thank God we found this before crossing.
Yeah.
And the other thing that it's a little bit of an issue is some hikes, they don't allow dogs.
Yes.
And it's really hot. So we take turns. So a hike that normally would take 2 hours could take 4 hours, or we don't do it at all.
Exactly. So
So.
the other thing that I would caution you about if you're doing this trip with your dog is that it's not so much the street dogs that are dangerous, because street dogs, they're out there for survival, and they're very skittish. So they tend not to, attack your dog. What becomes a little bit trickier is when you go to a campground and they have dogs, because you're taking your dog into the territory of those dogs. So we're very careful about the introduction to their dogs, and also to see if their dogs are vicious, because some campground, none of the campground owners have their dogs tied up. Like, it's very rare. Maybe
rare.
one of them, I think in Nicaragua, had the dogs tied up, but otherwise the dogs are roaming loose. So you just have to, be careful, have some good communication with the campground host to find out if their dog is aggressive. So that's the other thing that we've had to be kind of careful about. And if we had any doubt, like in Ometepe, Nicaragua, we saw that there was a female dog there and she was very territorial. The campground host did not want to tie her up. So we're like, no, we're just not going to take a chance. And we left and we went to a different campground, which ended up being a blessing because it ended up having the most beautiful view over Lake Nicaragua. So
Yeah, so that's why if you're going to a campground, never pay for 3-4 days in advance.
Oh, yeah.
Always pay day by day by
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
We
yeah.
learned
We've
that
learned.
very fast. Because, then you're not stuck asking the person for money back because you didn't like it or it was inconvenient or whatever
Or something.
reason that you have to leave.
yeah, don't pay up front. Always pay night by night.
I mean, one thing that we're very surprised is that we don't see many other overlanders over here.
No, not many.
There's not
I
many
think
tourists.
I mean, in Mexico, yeah, we saw a lot. But beyond Mexico, I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or people just have a fear of traveling in Central America. But yeah, we bump into people that are overland traveling every once in a while, but not very often.
No.
Not as often as we thought we would.
Campgrounds have been pretty empty.
Yeah,
Since
absolutely.
Mexico, we used to meet people, socialize, get inspired, but since we left Mexico, it's very rare.
Even the dry camping spots that should be super popular and super full, like Cerro Verde National Park in El Salvador, we should have met people there, but no. Seems like nobody's traveling down here right now, which is a blessing and a curse because we did want to meet a lot of people, but at the same time it's a blessing because if you go to an attraction and you're the only one there, you have this truly magical experience because you're the only one there, so it's pretty rare. So our timing actually turned out to be pretty good in that respect.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah. All right, so okay, so another thing that we wanted to talk about that surprised us is how temperature and altitude has a huge effect on your tires.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when we came down here, we're like, we'll just keep the winter tires on. We're just going to Mexico for a few months. We'll come back, and then when we come back, we'll put some new tires on there. We just figured that would be fine. Well, little did we know at that time that we would be coming all the way down to Panama. So we had one tire issue in Mexico as soon as we got into Mexico, and our friends helped us out big time. James and Lady, they really helped us out on that one. So we plugged the hole, and then James had a blowout in his tire. And what was happening is that they were overinflated for Mexico's temperatures, right? So they were perfectly inflated for North America temperatures, but when the tires get too hot, they're more prone to explode. And also, the change in altitude is messing with our tire sensor, our tire pressure sensor. So as soon as we return to the United States, we're gonna go get that checked out by the dealer. But yeah, altitude and temperatures definitely affect your tires. And I didn't realize it would be that much, but yeah.
Because you go from like 32, 36 degrees to like 12, 11 degrees. So your tires, the sensors, it keeps going low pressure, but when we take the pressure, everything seems fine.
Yeah,
So it's puzzling. And besides that, our car's been doing really well. The build has been doing really well. Everything's holding up really good together.
yeah, we're actually, it just reinforces the way we designed the space inside. We really knew what we wanted, what we needed, and that was based on the experience of having the casita before and the escape. So we knew exactly what we needed. So we're so happy that we have that experience under our belts because it helped us to design the van and use it really the way we need to use it to be, effective, efficient, travel comfortably and everything like that.
And the other issue that we had was the wabasto, so it's our eating
Yeah.
component or eating element. I think because when we're on higher altitudes, it burns really rich, so it got super clogged up, super dirty, and at one point it stopped working.
Yeah.
So we had to put it apart and clean it. It took us 5 hours, and luckily I had a mechanic that was my neighbor, not a Canadian guy,
Yeah.
that helped us out, and we were able to fix that issue. And yeah, besides that, we did one oil change so far,
Yeah, yeah.
and that went pretty well.
Yeah, we did an oil change in Panama that went really, really well. So we wanted to get it done at the Ford dealership, Ford dealership. They said, oh, you leave it here for the afternoon and then you come back in the afternoon. Well, that doesn't really work for us because we have a dog and
and they don't allow us to wait.
and they don't allow us to wait there because of COVID.
Right,
so it's really hot. It's 34 degrees. So what are we going to do with the two of us and the dog? We're just going to stand outside. So we ended up finding this quick stop, or he found this quick stop oil change place where it's kind of like US style, and this is in a city called David, Panama.
Yeah.
So you just kind of drive in, the guy goes under the car, he does the oil change, and you can watch the whole thing happen, and it was maybe a third of the price of what the Ford dealership.
Definitely don't want to use those lifts because I've heard a lot of horror stories about the roof getting dented. So make sure when you do an oil change, especially if your car is heavy or high roof, make sure it's under.
Yeah.
And the other thing is little things that I didn't think about, like an oil filter. We wanted to do an oil change in Costa Rica, but they don't have any Fords there, right?
So they didn't have filters.
Yeah, like, oh, I don't have a filter for you. And they're not expensive, they're easy to carry. So if you're doing a long trip like this, definitely carry little stuff like that. That's going to be cheaper and it's going to be easy to replace if you need to do a quick job.
Yeah, luckily there are a lot of Ford Transits in Panama, and we were able to pick up the filter at the Ford dealership and then take it over to the quick stop oil change place. And also we replaced another damaged tire that we damaged, rolling over a tree. And we got a used tire for $35 installed, which is a joke.
Yeah, so there's a lot of these little stores that they sell used tires. They're used like 30-40% kind of thing, so you still have 60%, but there's so many.
Yes.
So yeah, we ended up changing, and we're rolling on our spare, but our spare is a full-size tire.
Yeah.
But we have 4 brand new tires back at home, so when we'll get back home,
we'll change the new tires. And someone in the comments had said, yeah, when you're rolling on used tires, you only have like 30% of the use left. I don't know. He said something like that was a really bad idea. Well, yeah, we realized that, but we didn't know that we would be doing this long trip. So had we known, we would have put the new tires, but we're just kind of dealing with it, and the tires are holding up well nonetheless.
So we're in Panama, and now we're going to making our way up slowly. We don't really have a time frame.
Well, we do want to be back in Quebec for, at the very latest, the end of June.
Yeah.
But we're going to make our way up slowly and
hit the spots we didn't see.
We missed, yeah.
But I mean, it's funny because since Mexico, every country, I'm getting further away. But now we reached the Panama Canal, and today was our first day of driving north, and now we're actually getting closer and closer and closer to home. So.
Yeah, I think our mileage right now is at 23,700.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did what, 17,000?
We probably did about 17,000 kilometers to get down here from Canada. But keep in mind, it wasn't like a straight shot. We explored a little here, explored a little there, did little stops around. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how many kilometers going back home, because it's for sure it's going to be a lot less.
And I have to say, we've been doing these kind of adventures for going on 5 years.
Yeah.
And this
is the best trip, guys. If you're curious about driving down to Central America, it's not that far, and it was mind-blowing. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's going to be hard to top this one.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. And the only reason...
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. The reason why we didn't go to South America is that it's very complicated to fly with the dog. So we could easily get her from Panama to Colombia by sailboat. But then if we want to fly her back from Argentina to Canada, she would have to go either in the baggage hold or the cargo hold. So that's not something that we want to put her through at this stage of her life. She's 12 years old. So we decided that the best for us, and also we're starting to miss home a little bit, the best for us right now is just to go home. And then, maybe down the road we'll do South America.
Yeah, and another point I wanted to bring out before I forget is in some countries when you cross from one to another, you cannot cancel your vehicle import. You have to pause it.
Yes. So
That's important.
In every country that you go to after the US, so from Mexico to Panama, you have to get a vehicle import permit. It's a temporary vehicle import permit. So in 2 countries, in Guatemala and in Costa Rica, if you cancel it, you have to wait 90 days before you can get another vehicle import permit. But those 2 countries allow you to suspend it.
Yeah, suspend it.
And then to come back in and use the remainder of whatever days you have left on your tip. So we had to do that in both Guatemala and Costa Rica. We suspended our temporary import permits. So we're just gonna, you have to keep that paper and present it back to them when you go back and say, yeah, I'm just going through now, I'm just in transit, and they give you however many days are left on your permit.
But that's the thing, if you don't say suspended, they will automatically cancel it.
Yeah.
And then we would have been stuck 90 days in Panama.
Yeah.
So
that's that is actually what's good about Wiki Overland. That's what we learned from Wiki Overland, is that we had to do that. So just make sure if you're doing a trip like this, you got to do a lot of research in advance. So we want to thank you guys so much for joining us on this live stream. We're sending you all love. We hope you're warm wherever you are and safe, and stay tuned. You're going to see all of our travels. We just, we're working hard to get them up. We're just a little bit delayed, unfortunately. All right. Cheers.
Cheers to Panama. Yay.
Bye.